What if the most courageous thing you ever did was refuse to show up for people who raised you? Right now, something invisible is happening in homes everywhere. A quiet revolution that nobody wants to discuss. Millions of grown adults are choosing to step back from the people who gave them life. Parents feel abandoned. Siblings fade into permanent silence. This phenomenon is called family disconnection. Society calls it selfish. But what if it's actually the opposite? To strangers, it appears like sudden betrayal, an unappreciative offspring, a forsaken mother or father. Yet when you examine what's really underneath, you discover something far more intricate. The silence isn't cruelty. It's the language of self-preservation. What actually drives someone to sever the most fundamental relationship we're told to honor? Is it recklessness? Or is it the last resort when your mental survival demands it? Today, we're examining the hidden mechanisms behind family disconnection. We'll dismantle the false narrative of impulsive abandonment, unpack the layered psychological injuries that compel someone to create distance, and investigate the poisonous patterns, from invisible emotional starvation to controlling behavior, that make separation the only path forward. Whether you're wrestling with remorse or seeking answers about someone who disappeared from your life, this explanation will change how you understand everything. This is what lives beneath the quiet. Let's explore. Disconnection rarely starts with fireworks. It starts with wearing away. Gradual, silent, nearly invisible except to the individual experiencing it. For years, sometimes entire lifetimes, everything appears fine to observers. Cake gets eaten on birthdays. Holidays get survived. Photographs capture manufactured smiles. But underneath, something is dissolving piece by piece. Not from one devastating incident, but from countless tiny violations that pile up like dust gathering in corners nobody sweeps. Mental health experts identify this as microtrauma, the judgment wrapped in fake worry, the personal limit that gets violated just slightly more with each passing season. The tone that communicates your emotions are irrelevant. The relentless expectation to embody their vision instead of discovering yourself. Taken alone, these instances feel insignificant. Combined, they construct an emotional atmosphere. Eventually, your physical body reacts before conscious thought catches up. Your muscles tighten when their name appears on your phone. You mentally rehearse conversations hours before seeing them. You hide essential parts of who you are to avoid confrontation. What you previously labeled normal family patterns transforms into perpetual dread woven through your existence. This erosion remains hidden from view. Disconnection doesn't occur because affection vanishes. It occurs because someone has progressively depleted their reserves, their stamina, their optimism, their ability to absorb identical pain repeatedly. Before separation arrives, exhaustion appears. And before exhaustion arrives, years of slow deterioration occur. This represents the authentic origin of disconnection. Not fury, but emptiness. Looking from outside, disconnection frequently appears spontaneous, as though someone awakened angry one morning and vanished without explanation. Mothers and fathers describe it as completely unexpected. Observers remark, "But things looked perfectly normal." That's the deception of accumulated pressure. A volcanic explosion appears instantaneous only to witnesses who ignored the mounting tension below ground. Magma doesn't materialize overnight. It builds quietly, invisibly across decades. The earth contains it until containment becomes impossible. Family disconnection operates identically. The ultimate confrontation, the disastrous holiday gathering, the wounding statement, these never constitute the genuine cause. They simply represent the instant when internal pressure exceeds tolerance. The final catalyst in an extended sequence of dismissed boundaries, invalidated experiences, and unaddressed suffering. To the parent, it registers as abandonment triggered by this specific event. But to the grown child, it translates differently. "No, I'm withdrawing because this pattern has persisted for 2 decades. The rupture appears sudden only because the suffering remained unspoken. Disconnection is seldom a response. It's a culmination, a discharge of accumulated pressure that could no longer be held. And once pressure releases, everything transforms. Long before distance gets chosen, many individuals have already been forced into roles they never volunteered for. Inside unhealthy or self-centered family structures, identity isn't discovered, it gets assigned. And these assignments determine a child's complete emotional universe. There's the favored child, the projection of parental ego, celebrated, shielded, placed on pedestals. Their function is fulfilling the family's success mythology, even when it requires abandoning genuine self-expression. Then there's the blamed one, held responsible for conflicts they didn't generate. The person who speaks uncomfortable truths, the emotionally intelligent member who refuses to accept dysfunction as acceptable. Paradoxically, the blamed one often demonstrates the greatest emotional health, yet they're typically expelled first when they stop absorbing collective shame. But additional roles exist. There's the overlooked child who endures by becoming invisible, staying silent, requiring minimal attention, discovering that visibility brings danger. They mature into masters of independence, yet remain perpetually uncertain whether they deserve to occupy space boldly. And then possibly the most crushing role, the child forced to parent. The child who becomes the emotional caregiver for their own guardians. The mediator, the stabilizer, the one shouldering burdens far exceeding their developmental stage. These children mature believing affection must be purchased through service, sacrifice, and suppression. None of these roles permit authentic self-development. They establish patterns of remorse, duty, and emotional repression that pursue someone throughout adulthood. When someone finally abandons the assigned role, when they attempt becoming a complete person rather than a family mechanism, the system responds. It resists, it condemns, it retaliates. Because in families like these, the moment you reclaim personhood is the moment you become dangerous. For many, disconnection isn't about abandoning family. It's about escaping the role that was destroying them. Certain injuries bleed visibly, others don't, and those invisible ones frequently shape us most powerfully. Emotional starvation is soundless. It produces no marks, no dramatic incidents, no definable moment allowing you to declare, that's when damage occurred. Instead, it's characterized by absence, the reassurance never provided, the safety that remained unavailable, the interest in your interior world that nobody demonstrated. Developing without emotional responsiveness teaches children something crushing, that their feelings are either excessive or inconsequential. As adults, these individuals often appear capable, self-sufficient, seemingly unaffected while privately carrying persistent pain that never fully dissipates. This is the dried-up reservoir. You keep returning to your family hoping to find water, but the bucket always comes up empty. Perhaps this occasion they'll genuinely listen. Perhaps this occasion they'll inquire about your authentic state. Perhaps this occasion they'll meet you at the depth you've consistently sought. But every encounter concludes identically. An empty vessel, a hollow sensation, a predictable letdown. Most individuals don't depart because of actions their parents committed. They depart because of what their parents could never provide. Because repeatedly returning to an empty reservoir ultimately becomes a form of self-betrayal. Disconnection for many isn't about rejecting relatives. It's about finally choosing to stop craving a type of affection that's never existed. Pain from what occurred can heal. Pain from what never occurred requires longer because you're grieving a childhood version you never experienced. If disconnection appears sudden to outsiders, the endurance is even harder to comprehend. Why do individuals tolerate years, sometimes decades of suffering before creating distance? The explanation involves two potent psychological mechanisms: trauma attachment and the optimism loop. Trauma attachment develops when moments of harm interweave with moments of tenderness. A harsh comment followed by reconciliation. Cold withdrawal followed by rare affection displays. A boundary violation, then promises that change is coming. The nervous system gets programmed to mistake inconsistency for love. You begin believing that with increased effort, more giving, greater calmness, you'll finally obtain the parent version you required as a child. And that's where the optimism loop initiates. It maintains waiting, It maintains forgiving. It maintains returning to situations that gradually dismantle your self-concept. Optimism isn't problematic. The problem is hoping for who they could become, not who they consistently remain. Many adult children persist because they learned that departing equals disloyalty, that self-protection equals selfishness, that desiring tranquility means they're problematic. So they endure, they diminish, they justify, they await the transformation moment that never materializes. When someone finally departs, it's not because love disappeared. It's because they recognized the pattern wouldn't transform. And persisting meant sacrificing self-pieces annually. Disconnection often begins with a devastating realization. If I remain, I'll cease existing. When people encounter the phrase complete separation, they frequently imagine extreme emotional amputation, an act of punishment or vengeance. But realistically, distance rarely constitutes an anger declaration. It's a survival mechanism, and it doesn't arrive in singular form. Some select minimal connection, limiting conversations, abbreviating visits, maintaining superficial discussion topics. It communicates, I still value you, but I cannot grant identical access to my interior world anymore. Minimal connection often represents the initial attempt at relationship restructuring without termination. Others employ emotional neutrality, a technique designed to minimize emotional investment. They become bland, predictable, and non-reactive because reacting precisely fuels previous patterns of conflict, manipulation, or obligation. Emotional neutrality isn't coldness, it's self-defense. And then, after years of attempting alternatives, some choose complete separation. Not because they harbor hatred, but because every lesser boundary got ignored. Complete separation becomes the final instrument, the last available method to halt the pattern, reclaim psychological wellness, and reconstruct identity. Psychologically, choosing distance activates mourning, remorse, and liberation simultaneously. You grieve the parent you hoped for, feel guilty for wanting tranquility, and breathe easier when chaos finally ceases. It's a profoundly conflicted choice, one made only after every alternative has failed. Distance isn't rejection, it's illumination. It's the moment someone declares, I cannot transform you, but I can protect myself. And for many, that distance, whether partial or complete, is their first experience of genuine safety. When someone chooses family distance, observers often assume the most difficult part is separation itself. But the deeper suffering, the part almost nobody discusses, is subsequent grief. Ambiguous mourning is a distinctive grief form. It happens when the person you're grieving remains alive, still existing, still sharing holiday photographs, yet emotionally unreachable. There's no funeral, no definitive goodbye, no ceremony to facilitate forward movement. Just lingering pain, uncertainty where resolution should exist. You're grieving not only the relationship you lost, but the relationship that never existed. The parent version who might have protected you, understood you, or loved you without stipulations. And releasing that imagined parent, the one you wished for throughout childhood, can feel like losing them twice. Then holidays arrive. Thanksgiving gatherings with vacant seats. Christmas mornings feeling excessively quiet. Everyone else seems embraced by warmth. While you're navigating complicated, invisible grief nobody knows how to comfort. Yet even within grief, relief exists. The anxiety disappeared. The chaos stopped. Your nervous system finally exhales. But that relief often accompanies guilt, as though choosing peace makes you disloyal to people who raised you. This is freedom's emotional price. The heartbreak of prioritizing your wellness over your history. It's not easy. It's not simple. But for many, it's the only method to stop inheriting pain they were never meant to carry. And healing begins the moment you realize you can mourn what you lost while still moving toward the life you deserve. For many individuals, disconnection isn't a story's conclusion. It's the commencement of a life they were never permitted to fully inhabit. Because once noise quiets and guilt softens, something unexpected begins emerging. A sense of self that had been buried beneath years of roles, expectations, and emotional survival mechanisms. Reclaiming identity isn't sudden revelation. A slow, gentle reconstruction. You learn to ask questions you were never allowed to ask. What do I genuinely desire? What brings me joy? What feels secure for me? And perhaps for the first time, your decisions aren't filtered through fear of judgment or consequences. You stop diminishing. You stop apologizing for existing. You begin trusting your internal voice, the one that was silenced so long. Healing also means shattering the generational pattern. Many adults who step away do so not from bitterness, but from understanding. This concludes with me. They refuse to transmit the chaos, the emotional deprivation, the conditional affection. They begin parenting themselves with tenderness. And if they eventually have children, they offer them a safety version they never received. And along this journey, something beautiful occurs. You discover the concept of chosen family, a partner who truly listens, friends who feel like home, mentors, communities and connections built on mutual respect, warmth, and emotional authenticity. People who don't love you because of obligation, genetics, or tradition, but because they see you, value you, and choose you. This is where the pattern shatters. Not when you depart from the family you were born into, but when you begin constructing the family your spirit always required. Reclaiming identity is a courage act. Creating chosen family is a liberation act. And together they form the foundation of a life no longer defined by pain, but by potential. In conclusion, disconnection isn't truly about shattering a family apart. It's about redefining what family signifies. For some, family is the people who raised them. For others, it becomes the people who finally made them feel secure. Both realities can coexist simultaneously. Departing doesn't mean you're heartless. It means you stopped returning into fire just because you were instructed to. It means you chose tranquility over chaos, illumination over confusion, healing over history. And that choice, though painful, is profoundly courageous. As you progress forward, you're allowed to grieve. You're allowed to grow. You're allowed to construct a life shaped not by your past wounds, but by the love you choose, the boundaries you deserve, and the future you're finally giving yourself permission to inhabit. And if this video made you feel understood, even slightly, I want you to know you're not alone. There are thousands of individuals walking this same quiet, intricate path. If you'd like to remain connected, consider hitting that like button and subscribing to Winds of Thought. We examine the hidden territories of the human heart here weekly. And if you feel comfortable, share your experience or reflections in the comments below. Someone else might discover strength in your story. Take care of yourself. You deserve to heal.